I was saying the um, what we discussed yesterday, sorry, not the evening, yesterday, towards the end of the day yesterday section, the life cycle costing. That was the last topic that we looked at in the previous section. So the area that we're going to start off next, they are kind of logically connected, interrelated. We'll understand the relation as we go along. So yesterday we discussed the fact that mostly what will companies do? They will calculate the cost, to that they will add the profit and we'll get the selling price. This is what typically we'll do. The logic is simple. The reasoning is simple. Selling price should be set at a level usually higher than the cost, right? The selling price that we are fixing for a product should be usually at a level higher than the cost of it, so that the company earns profit. The company benefits out of it, the company earns a profit. That's a basic funda, basic logic behind why we do it or business do it for products or services. Okay. Then we discussed about the different factors that can affect the price of a product, the theory part. Then towards the end, we had looked at life cycle costing as well. We had looked at the life cycle costing. I hope you guys do remember. We discussed the different stages. And then we discussed two numerical scenarios as well, two numerical questions as well. These are things that we covered yesterday. Now, going further with the topics, typically, like we discussed, typically what will happen, traditionally what will happen, what will be calculated first? The cost. As you can see in this graph, in this chart, you can see the marking. What is marked first? Cost. Normally what happens, cost is computed first because cost is internal, right? Cost basically refers to the expense incurred to manufacture a product or a service or to deliver a service. So a company typically will calculate the cost of their product. And to that, they will add the profit they want. Markup here is, of course, we are referring to the profit here. The profit that the company wants, they desire, they will add it. They'll get the selling price. The third one will be the selling price. So usually, cost will lead us to price. The typical traditional way of doing things is cost will lead us to price. We can say it is cost led pricing. And this is a typical way of doing it. We'll internally calculate the cost and that will help us. That will help us to fix the price. That will lead us to the price. This is a normal way of how things usually happen. Cost-led pricing. Cost will lead us to price. Nothing shocker in there. So for example, to give you an example, say the selling price. Okay. Sorry, my bad. Let's say the cost of a product is, let's say, 200. The cost of a product is, example sake, okay, the cost of a product is, let's say, not 200. Let's say 140. Cost is 140. And the company is looking for a 40% markup. Again, giving or 30% markup. I'm giving an example. So basically what will happen, 140 into 30%. Like I said, they are looking for 30% profit. So 140, you can also do the math, into 30% will come to 42. They'll add up to $42. So what will happen? 140 plus this 42 will set the selling price at 182. We'll sell the item at 182. This is a normal way of doing things. There's nothing abnormal in there. I hope you would agree. Identify the cost of the product or cost of the service that we are going to deliver. Add the profit that we want from the product, that we desire from the product. We'll fix the selling price. Normal way of doing things. However, when it comes to the method called target costing or target-based approach, things will switch on its head. We basically switch it. We turn it on its head. Ulta, the opposite. Means what? Rather than calculating, identifying the cost first, we'll do it in the reverse order. We'll fix the selling price first. So traditionally, what companies may do, in other methods, what the companies will do, identify the cost of the product, to that add the profit the company wants, we'll fix the selling price. We'll end up fixing the selling price. But what happens under target costing? Ulta, the exact opposite. Look at what is marked first. Selling price is marked first. So for example sake, okay, let's say the selling price is 200. Now remember what is fixed here first? Not the cost. Not the cost which is internal. Rather, we are finalizing the selling price first. We don't even know what exactly is the cost. We don't care. In this method, as you can see in the right side, we fix the selling price first. We fix the selling price first. 200. In my example, 200. Then out of this 200, we'll identify the profit, the margin, the profit, because this time the base is selling price. Yesterday we spoke about the difference between markup and margin. I hope you remember. Markup is the base is cost, in margin the base is selling price. Here what happened? We fixed the selling price first. Now based on the selling price, out of that how much portion, how much percentage profit we desire we looking for that we will identify. What we call as margin, the profit margin. So let's say 20%. Example, let's assume 20%. So 200 into, right? So here it was 30%. Here let's assume that it is 40%. Sorry, 20% they are looking for. So 200 into 20%, how much will come to $40? So 200 is the selling price. On that, let's say the company is desiring. So first of all, first and foremost, what did we do? We fixed the selling price. We finalized, we blocked in the selling price. Then we identified the profit that we want. Let's say we want 20% profit on the selling price. So it's a case of margin because it's on selling price. 200 into 20%, 40 is the profit we want. So now applying pure logic, commonsensical logic, what should be the cost here? What must be the cost here? If 200 is a selling price and if you're looking for a profit margin of $40, 20% that is $40, logically, what should be the cost here? Sneha, listen to the question asked. See the question asked. If the product has a cost of 240 and if you're selling at 200, will you have any profit? What are you doing? Think about what is being written there. Don't mechanically do it. We are fixing the selling price only. Selling price is 200 and we want a profit of 20%. That is $40. We want a profit of $40. Thanks, Sounda. Now to others as well. If selling price is fixed at 200 and if you're looking for a profit of 40 out of that, what should be the cost? What must be the cost? 160, 160. And I hope others do agree. I hope others are able to relate to it. I hope you have woken up out of your sleep. 200 minus that 40, the cost must be 160. This is cost, not selling price. This is cost. So here what happened, like I said, ulta, the ulta of how things happen in the normal scenario in traditional cases. Here we did the other way around. What happened? Here, price led us to costing. Normally it is cost leading us to price. Here what is happening? Price led costing. Here the price is fixed first and that price will help us to determine what should ideally be the cost. We fix the selling price first. And out of the selling price, we decide how much profit we want. So 200 is the selling price at which you're going to sell the product. 40 is the profit we want. So 200 minus 40, the cost must be 160. We have identified that the cost here for things to happen as per our plan, the cost here must be what? 160. So there are two things that I have to address here. Number one, how can a company, how can an organization, how can a business? I hope you'd agree, by the way, the first approach, that what I written down on the left side, the first approach, the traditional approach, cost leading us to price, the normal approach. That is very, very logical. That's very easily connectable. But this is very logical and it can be easily connected. Why? We find the cost and to the cost we add the profit the company say they are looking for, we get the price. Normal. Right? Very, very normal. But then come to this side, the right side, target costing approach. What happens here? We fix the price first. Even before we determine or we finalize the cost, we are fixing the price first. So the first question we need to understand, how can a company fix the selling price? How can a company fix the selling price if they don't even know the cost? How can they do that? Any response from your end? How can this selling price be fixed without even knowing the cost? Any idea? Any guesses? How can a business set the selling price first even before they look into the cost? Anybody? Any guesses? Let me repeat my question. How can an organization, how can a business fix their selling price? Selling price is what the price at which they'll sell the product. How do you think they will be able to set the selling price even before they know the cost, even before they finalize the cost? The first one is logical order, understand the cost, add the price at a higher level. But how can you set the price demand? Okay, to an extent. I don't know. Here you are basically assuming that the product is already there in the market. So you know the demand and all, right? But when you're fixing it, it's usually during, like in yesterday's life cycle costing scenarios, the initial phase, the intro phase that we are determining this. So what happens? We may not have a market demand that we can refer to. But yeah, I'll start with market research. We can start with market research here to fix the selling price. How will a company fix the selling price even before they know the cost? Through market research. There are two situations. Number one, the product that we are about to launch, the product that we are about to sell, it is similar to other products in the market. It is similar to other products in the market. So that may be there. So in that case, so features and all. So for example, it's a mobile phone. Chinese companies and all, by the way, they use this method, target costing a lot in their work, manufacturing and all. So what will they do? Okay, this is a mobile phone. So this much features. Okay, this much of RAM, this much of ROM, this kind of camera specification, this much of screen size, or this particular Android version, etc. So at what price normally such items are sold? They can refer. So when we say market research, of course they can refer for similar products. The market price of similar products. Market price of similar products. That's a good starting point. But then here we are assuming that whatever we are about to launch, the product is kind of similar to what's already there in the market. Features are similar. What if the product is a unique one? What if it's a unique product? Unique product in the sense it has some features that are not there in the market at all. We are launching some product where it has certain features, certain specifications, certain characteristics which are unique, which are different from what is there in the market. There, what will you do? In that case, what we'll do? Again, this way we'll do much more market research. We'll take opinion. We'll take opinion from obviously wholesalers, the distributors or the wholesalers, because wholesalers and retailers, because they are interacting with the customers. They are interacting with the customers. Wholesalers and retailers, we can directly reach out to customers through internet and all. We can reach out to the customers. And you may have seen, so the last one, tech experts, technological experts. In other terms, your normal term, the reviewers. Sometimes you may have seen, if you follow mobiles, laptops, gaming platforms, gaming consoles, etc., you would know that even before a model, even before a new model, cars, even there also it's there, cars, bikes, etc. In YouTube or with Instant, or if you do watch such reviews, tech reviews, you would know that even before the final product hits the market, even before a product is launched in the market, even before a product is actually launched in the market, many of them will get reviewed. Upcoming models while a review you will see sometimes. And in some of those videos, they will already tell this is not the final version. So the updated version may have a software update and all, which will fix a problem that is already there, etc. The reviewers only will tell. So think about it. How is it that those reviewers, the YouTube reviewers and all, how does they get a product? It could be a mobile, it could be a laptop, whatever it is that they are reviewing. How are they getting it? Even before the product is launched in the market. How? Companies send it. They'll identify in each market reviewers who have very good reach, and they'll send sample pieces to them to get an opinion. So basically, how a company sets the selling price even before they know the cost of a product? Through market research. If we are selling a similar product to that, is already there in the market, we can refer to the market price, the competitor's price for that. First case, easy case. Second case, a little more tricky, but there also we can do market research. How? We can tell to our wholesalers or customers and all, see, these are the specifications that we are having, right? There are two things, two possibilities. One, we already have sample models. We already may have sample model, or we may have only specifications, a sheet of specification. So if it's only a space of specifications, we'll send it to the retailers, sometimes to the customers also through internet and all. We can now send them, and we'll ask them, say, we are launching a new mobile phone. It will have this particular kind of camera, this much of screen size, this much of RAM, ROM, this much of this particular processor. Let's say Snapdragon or Helios, whatever it is, the MediaTek, whatever processor we are going to use. Everything will be described in there, and you can get an opinion from them. If you already have a sample, you can send that sample, including to the experts, to the reviewers, and ask them, see, this is a sample model that we are about to launch. At what price do you think we can sell it? It will help them to get an idea, to get a rough idea of at what price the company will be able to sell the product. So to summarize in one word, to say, how can a company fix their selling price before even they know the cost? Through market research, by getting opinion from the market, by referring to the market. Is this part clear to everybody? Can I have a confirmation, please? Is this part clear to everyone? Please do confirm. Are we good? Are we clear with this? Thanks, Santosh and Nusanga. Others? Are we good? Are we clear with the logic here? Okay, well and good. Thank you. Thanks all for. The next part. That takes us to the next part. This initial cost, it could be based on specifications, the estimated cost, or maybe if you have some samples created, the actual cost, but the initial cost. Now, what is our target cost? 160. Remember, what is the term? Target cost. No, not actual target cost. So it's the desired cost. If you are selling the item, in this example specifically, if we are selling the item at 200, and if we have to earn a profit of 40, if you are selling the item at 200, and if you want to earn a profit of 40, we must produce the item at 160. That's what we have identified. We must produce the item at 160. Now think about it. The actual cost of the product, when we produce the item, the actual cost of the product, the actual cost of producing it will be always exactly 160. Need not be. The initial cost, when they created the sample model, the pilot model, often we say prototype. What is prototype? Another term, a fashionable term for samples being created, sample models being created. So the initial sample models or the spec sheet wala cost, based on the estimated cost could be many a times higher than the target cost. So this initial cost, many times the initial cost which is called as actual cost or estimated cost, the initial cost that we incur could be usually higher. So for example, it could be 175. In this example, it could be 175. Could be 180, it could be 170. So in my example, let's say it's 175. Now remember, based on our market research, we have identified that we can sell the item at 200. So what happens in target costing method is, since the price is set based on market, right? The price, how do we set it? Based on the market dynamics. Unlike the traditional model where we'll refer to internal cost and fix the price, in target costing, the right side, what approach do we follow? We fix the price by getting details from the market. So we can't play too much with the selling price there. Now, 200 is the cost. Sorry, 200 is the selling price. We were thinking about a profit of 20%, $40. But if the initial cost, or if the cost is going to be 175, the actual cost is going to be 175, are we going to enjoy that profit? We will not enjoy that profit. We as in the business will not get to enjoy that profit they are desiring. So there is this difference, no? 175 to 160. This is what we refer to as cost gap. Let me repeat myself again. The difference between the initial cost of a product or a service. The initial cost. So they may say it's the actual cost, or they may say the estimated cost, the initial cost, and the target cost. That difference is what we call as cost gap. So we thought we'll sell it at 200, or we want to sell it at 200 based on market dynamics, based on market research. 20% profit we want, so $40 we want profit per product, 200 minus 40. Cost should be ideally 160. But then unfortunately it's 175. So what should the management try to do? This gap, this difference of 175, the actual cost now, they should attempt to bring it down. They should try to control the cost. They should try to reduce the cost. They should try to eliminate this cost gap. They should try to eliminate this cost gap. 175, they should try to control it, bring it down to 160. That's what they should try to do. And that's the essence of target costing. That's basically the essence of target costing. So let me walk you through the slides in here. Just give me a minute. I'll share the screen again. Yeah. So target costing, the method, I already have explained the logic. So what happens under this? It involves setting a target cost. How? By subtracting a desired profit margin from a competitive market price. So we'll first calculate the competitive market price. In our example, it was $200. Anusha, please don't try to write anything on the board. In our example, our competitive market price was 200 and we wanted a profit of how much? $40. So 200 minus 40, we fix the target cost at 160. The target cost was 160. I hope you do remember. Many a times what will happen, the initial product cost, what we call as the estimate of the actual cost, may be higher than the target cost. Like in our example, I said the initial cost is 175 actually, in our example. So that difference is what we call as cost gap. How much in our example? $15. In our example, it is $15. What will now the manager try to do? The manager will try to achieve the target cost. They will try to achieve the target cost. Only if they achieve the target cost, that is, only if they manage to actually produce the item at 160. In this example, the target cost is 160. So only if they actually produce it at 160, given a selling price of market-based selling price of 200, they'll enjoy a profit of 40 per unit, 20%, 40 per unit. For that, what will they try to do? They'll try to achieve this target cost by eliminating the cost gap, by reducing the cost gap. Of course, here the cost includes production and any selling, distribution, administration expenses that is given, manufacturing and non-manufacturing. So this way, like I said yesterday, it's kind of relatable to life cycle costing. It is not as inclusive life cycle costing that we saw yesterday, because under life cycle costing, research and development, and then even after the decline of the product, withdrawal of the product, restoration cost, dismantling, it is very inclusive that way. But at least compared to methods like absorption, marginal, ABC, etc., it's a bit more better method in terms of considering the cost, because it includes manufacturing and selling, distribution, administration expenses as well. It focuses on what, like I said already, not price-led costing, rather, it is not the traditional approach wherein we focus on cost-led pricing, rather it's price-led costing. And this price, how do we set it? Based on market dynamics. Based on market dynamics. So usually we say it's a very proactive approach. We often say that this target costing is a bit more proactive approach. Rather than doing things ourselves internally and then trying to say the customers should do what we want, we try to understand the pulse of the customers here first. We attempt to understand the dynamics, the pulse of the customers first. What do they desire? Given the features that we are offering, given the specifications we are offering, at what price they might be ready to buy it. We try to understand their pulse, their reaction, and do things accordingly internally. So usually we say it's a bit more proactive approach rather than reactive. What is proactive? A bit more forward-looking approach. So that it gives us a better chance of eliminating products which can fail. It's a bit more focused on cost control and do. So that we'll not end up making mistakes of making wrong products or overpriced products and all. that chance is lowered. Again, it doesn't give you a foolproof situation where, okay, you follow target costing and your product will be always profitable. No, because by the time you then launch it, right after achieving the cost gap and all, sorry, eliminating the cost gap, by the time you launch it and all, customer taste and all may change, or technology may change, or competitors may come with a better product. Many things may happen. So it's not a guarantee, but still, compared to the other approach, cost-led pricing, the internal approach, the external-based internal price, sorry, costing approach, it's much more likely to be successful. Why? Because right from the beginning, we try to understand the pulse of the customers, the market. Then accordingly, we try to work out. So the chance of a product failing comes down when you use this approach. That was the theory. There is a bit more theory which will come to, a bit more theory on target costing that will come to. But this is a basic logic of how target costing works. First, the selling price. Remember, they will not ask you to set the selling price, okay? In CMA questions, in target costing approach, they will not ask you to do market research. Market research is a lengthy process, getting opinion from multiple people and then getting the average, almost the average range price of that. It's a lengthy exercise, lengthy research. So normally in questions, they may give it. But they can ask you to calculate the target cost. They can ask you to calculate the cost gap amount. Such things can happen. But the logic, the flow of how things work in here, not cost leading us to price, rather price leading us to cost. Set the selling price based on market research, reduce the profit we want, we'll fix the cost. That way we fix the desired cost, which we call as target cost. And based on that, we'll compare the target cost with the initial cost, the actual cost initially. The difference we'll call it as cost gap. We'll try to eliminate it. This is the flow of things under this method. And like I said at the beginning as well, like here, it's different. That way, the turn of events, the flow of events is exact opposite of how it happens normally in other methods. Because in other methods, we fix the cost first. Internally, we determine the cost, and to the cost, we add the profit, we fix the price. Here is the ulta. We look at the market, what we have to sell, the product. We look at the market, we reach out to the market, try to understand from the market at what price we can sell it. Accordingly, we fix the price. Then we will think about the cost, how we can bring down the cost so that we can get a good profit. That's the difference, the peculiarity, the differentiation of this model, this method. That way, actually, it's a very interesting, a very different method as well. Are we good? Are we clear with this? Can I have a confirmation, please? Thus far, the flow of target costing, how it works, etc. Are we good? Are we clear with this? Are we good? Are we clear? Thus far. Thanks, Santosh. Others? Are we cool? Anybody having a doubt up until now on the process flow, everything? Anybody having a doubt? Okay. So if you don't have any doubts, I'm happy. Right? If you don't have any doubts, why would I be worried? I'm that much more happier. So that takes us to a problem. Let's do a question. Okay, this and all we'll see later. We'll start with this. There are two questions in here. I hope the Excel screen is visible. Let me confirm. Yeah, it is visible now. Please do help me with. They are asking you to calculate two figures here. Read the scenario. They're asking you to calculate two figures. What are the two figures? They want you to calculate. They want you to calculate number one, the target cost. Number two, the cost gap. Two figures. Two figures. Target cost, number one, number two, cost gap. What is target cost? The said selling price minus the profit they are looking for, we'll get the target cost. What is cost gap? Difference between initial cost, the estimated cost of the initial cost, the actual cost, and the target cost. That's the cost gap. Help me with both these calculations. Try to calculate both these figures. Okay, attempt calculating both these figures for me. Let's see what you guys get. Let's see what you guys get. One answer, I'll wait. Two answers. Let me see what are the answers we have got. Okay, Santosh. Thanks, Sander. You have given me both answers. Santosh, thanks for the target course. Try to calculate the course gap as well. And I'll wait for others. I'll wait for others. Thanks, Anusha. I have got target course from many people. I'm waiting for course gap as well. Try to calculate both parts, one and two, target course and course gap. And then we'll discuss. I have got now from three. And out of that, one is only the complete set. Sander has given me both the values. I'll wait for others. I'll wait for others. Thanks, Namita. Both the answers. Thanks, Arun. Try to calculate the other part as well. Thanks, Nisarga. Both the answers. Thank you. Good. So quite a few has given Sneha. Okay. 42 is target course. 45.9 is the gap. Are you sure? Read again. Think again. Think you're rushing. Especially the second part. What is course gap? Think about it. What is course gap? You did math right, but you're not complete. You have missed out something. Final step. Thanks, Arun. Good. Good, Sneha. See, it's very easy to lose marks if you're careless like that. Okay, I have got a lot of answers. Most of the answers are identical. Most of the answers said 42 is the target course and 3.89 is the course gap. Actual course gap is 1.89. Anusha, is it 1.89? Are you sure? Or is it a typo? A typo. So, how do you set the target course? As we already know, we had discussed this. Give me a minute. How do you calculate the course gap? Based on the price. Price is given to us in the question. They have told you they have done a competitor, sorry, they have done two things. They have taken customers' view as well as compared with the competitors' product. So they are doing market research. That's what will happen in market research. They have done both. They have compared against the competitors' price. They have also taken customers' opinion, both. So based on that, they have fixed the selling price, established the target selling price to be 60. And they are looking for a profit of how much? 30% on the selling price. So it's not markup because the question clearly says it's the percentage is on the selling price. It's very clear here as well. Margin. The term used is margin. So what will you do? 60 into 30%. 60 into 0.3. 30% should be the profit. 80. So how do we calculate, determine the target cost? Market selling price minus the target cost. So target profit minus the target profit. So 60 minus 30% of profit that we want. Reduce it. 42. 42. Of course, yes. You don't need to necessarily do it using this many steps and all. We could have simply done what? 60 into 70% because 30% is profit required. So how much should be the cost? 60 into 70% should be the cost. That way also we could have calculated. Whichever way you do, doesn't matter. And other the answer should be right. That's all. So the target cost is 42. What is the estimated cost? The sum of all the costs given. What's the estimated cost as of now? The sum of all the course given. They have given a long list of course, so I'll add it. 3.21 plus 24.03 plus 1.12 plus 0.23 plus 4.6 plus, so until 4.6 is manufacturing related, then non-manufacturing. We'll also take that 8.15 plus 3.25 because production and non-production cost will consider there if it's given, plus 1.3. 3.25 plus 1.3. So the total cost adds up to currently, based on the specification, the current estimated cost is 45.89. 45.89. So currently it stands at 45.89. Our target is to produce it at 42. So what is the gap? What is the difference? 45.89 minus 42, 3.89. Majority of you had answered this correctly. The two answers, number one, 42, number two, 3.89. Few got the answers wrong here and there, but I hope it's sorted. I hope the logic is clear to one and all by now. Can I have a confirmation, please? Are we good? Are we clear with the numbers? Can I have a confirmation, please? Are we all good? Are we clear with this? Thanks, Sabya, Santosh. Okay. Okay. Well and good. So that takes us back. We'll go back to target costing. We'll complete our discussions, our theory discussions on it. And then obviously that helps us to then practice the next one, look at the next question on target costing. Before we go there, let's close off the method. Let's close off our discussions on it. Then we can move on, right? Then we can peacefully move on with more numerical or more questions. We spoke about the fact that once we identify the cost gap, the difference between initial cost, in our example, this question that we did, 45.89 was the initial cost and target cost was 42. So 45.89 minus 42, we said 3.89. In earlier example, it was $15. 175 minus 116. So once we see this cost gap, what will we try to do? The manager must attempt to eliminate it. Means what? They should try to control it. They should try to reduce it. So what are the different ways in which the cost gap can be eliminated? That's our next question, next aspect that we have to cover. What are the different ways in which we can reduce this cost gap? We can eliminate this cost gap. That's what we have to look at next. So tell me, apply your logic and you guys tell me, what do you think? What are the different ways in which this cost gap can be eliminated? Or in other terms, we can reduce the cost to a certain level so that we can eliminate the cost gap, we can achieve the target cost. That way, we will achieve the target profit as well. What are the different ways? What do you think? There are many ways, by the way. What all comes to your mind? What are the different ways in which, what do you think? What are the different ways in which we can eliminate the cost gap? We can reduce the cost gap. We can control the cost so that the actual cost comes down and becomes the target cost, matches the target cost. What do you think? What do you guys think? What methods do you feel we can use, we can employ there? Nothing yet. Let me repeat the question. What all methods do you think we can use? So it has not, I mean, of course, it has technical knowledge required, but since you guys have been commerce students from year 11th onwards, I'm assuming so, you have done business studies and all. So you should be able to give at least a few techniques, at least a few methods. Some of it will be right, some of it will be wrong, and that's fine. But I like to see what you guys are getting. Avoiding unnecessary expenses. Very good starting point, Sounder. Very good. They use a technical term here. They say unwanted activities or non-value added activities. Let's eliminate it. And I happily agree with you. Yes. One thing that the business can do, eliminate unwanted activities, non-value adding activities. It may even mean using fewer parts. I don't know, some of you guys might know. There is this model called Nokia 8 or Nokia 9. I don't remember the model number, which came out in 2018 or 19. It was a gimmick. It had around 7, 8 camera sensors in the back. But then they quickly understood that despite having that many items, if the camera output is, the photo output is better in an iPhone or a Samsung or a Pixel, their product is not going to be sold. So the next model, they avoided that. They avoided that gimmick. Like that, sometimes a particular product may have unwanted certain pieces or certain element parts or unwanted cost being incurred, extra cost being incurred, wasteful expenses. So you may identify that. Internally, we may identify such unnecessary activities, expenses, and you may eliminate that. Yeah, reducing waste. It's the same. Yep. Yeah, right, only Nasarga. It's the same as what Sounder said, but you guys are using two different wordings there. That's all. When it's unnecessary expenses, it's a waste. Right? Waste of money, waste of resource. So yeah, reduce it. I agree. I agree with both of you. Correct. What else? Reducing waste or reducing unnecessary activities, unwanted activities, or non-value-adding activities by analyzing value. For that, we'll use a technique actually called as value analysis. Okay, by the way, we'll be using a method called as value analysis for that. But that can be done. We can analyze the value, understand what all the customers value and what all they don't value. Especially those that the customers don't value, we can eliminate such activities because it's a waste of money and resource. So we can eliminate it. What else? Other than this, what else can be done by a business? What other options? What are the other ways in which we can control the cost? We can reduce the cost. That's the question. Using better technology. Very good. Agreed. Especially, say, for example, like Nisarga said, say, for example, we are using labor technology. We are using labor more. But if there's an option to switch to machines, it will be expensive initially, yes, because to buy the machine, it will incur you more cost. But in the long run, what will happen? Machines will be more effective or more efficient. The per unit time and all will be coming down. The per unit, the time taken to produce it and all will come down. The cost per unit will come down. The cost per unit will come down in the long run. So yes, using better technology or automation and all automation, so using better technology and all, yes. Then getting raw material in bulk and reducing the cost, yes, bulk discount, agreed. Very much a great sounder. We can look for bulk discount options, yes, from suppliers buying the items at bulk, reducing supply cost. Yeah, when you say reducing supply cost, it's a little vague there, Nusarga. It's a little vague. Like Sounder said, he said, let's buy in bulk. When you buy in bulk from the suppliers, of course, you'll get discount. One. The other option of reducing supply cost is what? Looking for cheaper material. They're looking for cheaper material. So I want you guys to be aware, all of you to be aware. Very easy option to reduce the cost gap is buying cheaper raw material or going for cheaper labor. Buying cheaper raw material and opting for cheaper labor, unskilled, very cheap labor. Now, both these are very dangerous methods. Why? If you opt for cheaper material or cheap labor, what can happen to quality? Quality can be compromised, quality can be adversely affected, can be negatively affected. Think about it. Compared to what we are using now, if you use cheaper raw material or if you use cheaper labor, it can both affect the quality negatively. Cheaper material or cheaper labor can lead to adverse impact, negative impact on quality. So it's not a very welcome method. Bulk discount is fine. But if you try to reduce the cost by affecting the quality, yes, Chinese companies use the method. That doesn't mean that theoretically, it doesn't mean that, okay, when you use target costing, okay, we can compromise on quality. That is not the meaning. Therefore, be very careful in an MCQ situation. In an MCQ scenario kind of a situation, when they ask you, how can a company, which of the methods or what method can a company use to eliminate the cost gap? If they are asking a question like that and they give A, B, C, D, four options, be very choosy, be very careful. Pick methods that will not lead you to compromise on quality. That will not lead you to compromise on quality. But if none of the methods, if one option is cheaper material or cheaper labor, if one option is cheaper material or cheaper labor, but none of the other three options are correct. If none of the other options are correct, then only we'll choose that. In other terms, choosing for cheaper raw material or cheaper labor should be our last choice, should be our last preference. So if we have a better choice other than that, already in the answer options given, always pick that. If none of the other three options are right, then only choose cheaper material or cheaper labor. And by the way, if they say use cheaper material but of same quality, then we don't have any problem. Remember, if they say one of the option is use cheaper material, cheaper raw material, but of the same quality. Quality is not compromised, or getting the same item at a lower rate. That we don't have any problem. We're very happy because quality is not compromised. But if they just say cheaper material or cheaper labor, then look for other options. Because when we just say cheaper material, cheaper labor, it automatically implies that. It automatically means that it will hit the quality. It will have a negative impact on quality, which we are not okay with. Target costing doesn't mean let's compromise on quality. No, that's not the meaning of using target costing. That's not the implication. So we look for better options. If none of them are there in the options given in an MCQ, then only you should choose cheaper material, cheaper labor. I hope that choice is clear. Okay, I hope that choice is clear. Let me see. Efficiency in working. Thanks, Duray. Agree. We can improve the efficiency of the workers. How? Give them more training. Give them more training so that their efficiency improves. The number of mistakes they make will come down. The time they take to produce will come down. So the cost will come down. Mistakes comes down. So rework cost will also come down. Yes. You guys are good. Very good. I'm happy to see. Right? You guys have given me many answer options. I'm very happy. The wordings here and there may differ, but you have given me a good number of options. Okay. There will be a few new things also. Some of them that you may not have mentioned. Many of them you have already mentioned. When I listed down, some of them may not have been mentioned by you, but you'll be able to easily relate, I believe. One, like Sounder started with eliminating non-value adding activities, or like Nisarga also said, she also mentioned eliminating wasteful activities. What will you do for that value analysis? We'll analyze the value to understand what are the value activities that the customers value. What are the elements that the customers value? Anything that the customers doesn't mind or doesn't care about, we can eliminate that. Training. Give more training. The last part that I got, Duray had mentioned, improve the efficiency. How will you improve the efficiency of workers? Give them more training. Give them more training. Bulk discounts. Again, another mother that was, I think, Sounda had mentioned. Bulk discount. When you go for bulk discount, purchase in bulk, you'll get discounts from the supplier. Per unit, the cost will come down. Use standard component. This is new. This you guys had not mentioned. What do you mean standard components? So we are not referring to using high quality standard. We are referring to, when we say standard components, we are basically meaning same raw material for all batches of a product. For one product when you're producing, for all the different batches that you're producing, use the same raw material. Rather than don't play with the raw materials, the components. For example, Samsung S26, for example, Samsung Galaxy 26 and different versions. Some of you may know. Internationally, when they sell in other market and all, in the Samsung phone, they will use a processor called as Snapdragon. It's a more expensive processor, a chipset in the phone. But when they sell it in markets like, say, for example, India, and there are many other countries also like that, where the import duties, the tax is very high. Where the tax is very high, what will they do? Because the tax is high and all, it will become very expensive for them. So what will they do? They will use a cheaper chipset. They'll use a cheaper chipset, cheaper raw material. Now, the problem is, think about the workers. Think about the workers sitting in China or sitting in Japan and making units of this. They produce two batches in a given day. They produce two batches of maybe Samsung S26 mobile phone using a particular chipset, a particular component. For the third batch, they are told, now you produce again one more batch of that product, but using a different component. You're telling them to use a different chipset, different component. You can confuse them. You can slightly confuse them. Same raw material, same product, but they want a different raw material to be used. So should the features be the same? Should the configuration be the same? Should the placement of the chip in the within the mobile should be the same? Like that, they may get into confusion. It can lead to mistakes. So rather than doing that, For one product, use the same set of raw materials so that that consistency is there. We don't confuse the workers. That's basically standard components. Then automation, like somebody mentioned, using better technology. Look for better technology. It will bring down the cost using fewer parts, which is related to, like the Nokia example I mentioned, eliminating non-validating activities or non-validating parts. If some parts are there that doesn't add any value to the customer, customers are not bothered about it at all, then don't bother giving it. Don't bother giving it. Outsourcing, another easy option. I hope you guys know this. But sometimes, like in make or buy and all we discuss, sometimes certain components and all will be cheaper to get it done outside rather than producing it by ourselves. That can help you to eliminate the cost gap. There are many other methods also, by the way. And yeah, obviously, cheaper material, cheaper labor. But like I said, it should be the last resort. Using the cheaper labor or cheaper material should be our last resort. That is in the MCQs, when they have given options and ask you to pick an option to eliminate the cost gap. If none of the other options are right, then only we'll choose cheaper material or cheaper labor. Otherwise, we'll not choose that. Is this clear to all of you? Can I have a confirmation, please? Any doubts on any of the points? There are other methods that could possibly be there. This is just a list of immediate things that comes to our mind. Are we good? Are we clear with this? Can I have a confirmation, please? Are we good? Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So, thank you, chaps. Thank you, guys. Let's move on. Let's look at one more round of target question scenario. One more question. MCQ this thing. Help me with the answer. Thanks, Santosh. One answer. A, another answer. Totally different answers. One A, one B. I'll wait. I'll wait peacefully. A, Okay. Two Ds and two As. Balancing of two Ds and two As until now. C, D. Okay. Now we have got C as well. Few Ds, few As, and one C. Interesting. Another D, C. So I have got multiple C's, multiple A's, multiple D's. Only B is left off. Somebody please choose B. 1 second. Dada? Okay, I think I have waited for enough time. I have got very different answers. Now, let's discuss. Let's close it off. How do we first of all calculate the target cost? What is the formula usually for it? Selling price. In this case, the selling price is very clear, 550. 550. From that, we'll reduce the profit we want. Right? The selling price is 550. They have fixed it. Then they say the profit is 30%. Now, there is the catch. Read the question carefully. They say not 30% on the selling price. In the initial questions, in the both the cases that we discussed earlier, in this question that we practiced, and the example that I discussed in here, this profit was mentioned as a percentage of the selling price. It was mentioned as a percentage of the selling price. But here, read the question carefully. Every question could be unique. Sometimes I may mention it as a percentage of the cost. Sometimes I may mention as in it will be mentioned as a markup. But here, look at it. It's not even that. It's something different. They say they want 30% on investment of 5 lakh, 500,000. They want the profit to be 30% of the investment. So what is the profit actually required? If you ask me, the profit required is 5 lakh, the investment, 500,000 into 30%, into 0.3 or 30%. They want an overall profit of 150,000. They want an overall profit of 150,000. And this is from how many units? As per the question, they expect a sales of 800. They are expecting a sales of 800. So the overall profit they want, it is mentioned not as a percentage of the selling price like they typically do, like a normal scenario. This is why I keep saying read questions carefully. It won't be like ditto copy paste questions. They may keep changing the wording. They may keep changing the way they present the data. You have to read, understand what's being given, and we have to adjust accordingly. Right? That's where common sense application comes in, logic comes in. So 5 lakh into 30%. 5 lakh is investment. They want a return. They want a profit of 30% on that. So 5 lakh into 30%, 150,000, 1,50,000, 150,000. How many units? 800. So from 800 units, they want 150,000 of profit, which means per unit, what is the profit they're looking for? 150,000 divided by 800. I hope you would agree. 150,000 divided by 800. They are looking for a profit of 187.5. Per product, they are looking for a profit of 187.5. Remember, many people chose C. See, that is profit. 187.5 is a profit. The question is asking you not the desired profit. Question did not ask you what is the target profit. The question asked you what should be the target cost. So the selling price expected is 550. They want a profit of 187.5 per product. How? 30% of the investment, 150,000 divided by the number of units. They want the profit to be 187.5 per product. So selling price is 550. Their desired profit is 187.5, 30% of investment. So what should be the target cost? The selling price, market-based selling price minus the desired profit, 32.5. D is the answer. D is the answer. This is one way of doing it. This is one way of doing it. Is this the only way of doing it? No. Somebody else may have done it in a different manner. Right? Some of you might have done it in a different manner. Both are fine. Like I keep saying earlier, also I had mentioned this. Doesn't matter how you end up calculating the answer. As long as the logic is right and the answer is right, they don't care. It's not like our school exam where they teach a method in the class and exactly that as per the notes we have to recreate. No. So you may have, some of you may have done it in different manners. So for example, the total revenue expected here is 550, selling price of 550 into 800. Both are given in the question. 550 is a selling price, 800 is a uh, number of units. So the total revenue, 440. And the total profit required, 5 lakh, 500,000, the investment into 30%, the total profit. Total revenue expected, 440,000. 800 into 550 per unit, 550. Total profit required, 450, which means what should be the overall cost? 440,000 minus 150, the overall cost must be 290,000. The cost must be overall 290,000 overall, total. This is an acceptable cost. This is for how many units? 800 units. We want per unit. We want per unit, the cost. So 290,000 divided by how many units? 800 units as per the question. 290,000, the cost divided by acceptable cost divided by 800 per unit, the cost should be 3.5. So whether you do as per pathway A or pathway B, it doesn't matter. But if you calculate 30% in the selling price of 550, you'll end up getting an answer of, I think, A. That is wrong. And even C. For people who chose C, it's a case where you did the math right, but then you're still making a mistake because you're choosing target profit instead of the cost. That's carelessness, if you ask me. It's absolute carelessness. I hope all of you got the point. I hope this is clear to everybody. Can I have a confirmation, please? The answer is D. Especially to those who got a different answer, who did not get an answer, or who got a different answer. Are we good? Are we clear here? For those who got a different answer or did not get an answer, are we good? Are we clear? Please do confirm. Please do verify. Are we clear with the idea? Is this clear? Thank you. Thank you. Anybody with a doubt? Are we clear? Anybody? Anybody with a doubt? Are we all good? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's it. So with that, this part we can go for a break now. 9:15. Okay, perfect. 9:15. We'll go for a half an hour break. Like I said yesterday as well, I know it's online. Yeah, I will not take it mostly today till 12:30. Like yesterday we have done. We may not do that. But yeah, we may take it till 11:30, 11:45, that particular range maximum. Okay. So with that, we'll close it off for the day. So, anyways, once again, we'll go for a break, half an hour break, have your breakfast, walk around, have some fresh air, don't sleep off, have some fresh air, then be back. We have more to do. We have more to cover, which will cover more of market dynamics of how it will affect the pricing that will cover when you guys come back. Thank you. See people after the break.
ஆ ஆ போன வேணும்.
Welcome back. Welcome back, guys. Let's go in. I will share the screen. Now, we already have discussed the concept of different factors affecting the prices today. Then we looked at the um, target costing and the life cycle costing approaches. Life cycle costing first, and today we looked at target costing. And yeah, cost-based pricing, the markup against margin also we discussed. The next area that we'll focus on before we come to market dynamics. We'll already remember target pricing already touches the market. Under that method, we fix the selling price based on market dynamics, based on market research, either referring to competitor products and their prices if we have similar products, or obviously, as like we saw, by using what yeah, by using research, opinion, and all from customers or reviewers, etc. So there are elements of market in there already. We'll talk about the other aspects and all, like supply and demand. Definitely, yes, we'll come to that and the different. But first, we'll talk about the market competition, market situation. That will be the next area where that we'll talk about next. How the different types of market can affect the pricing. Remember, our this is not an economics paper. Right? This is not an economics paper. If when you have learned your economics in your 11th, 12th, or in your college studies, you may have digged in deep. You may have learned about different types of markets and different type of graphs for all those different type of markets and all in detail. You may have learned about it. That's not really required here because it's not an economics paper. So we are not learning about different type of economies in here. That's not the intention. That's not the intent. But we need to be very aware about the different types of market that exist, different type of economies or market that exist, and depending on that, how it can, the situation in a market, and your positioning there can affect the pricing. Once again, what is pricing? Fixing the selling price, determining what should be the selling price. So, what type of market that we operate in? The type of market that we operate in and the level of competition that market can very well affect, can very well impact our pricing decisions. Once again, let me repeat it. What type of market we operate in, what type of market that we operate in can very well impact our pricing decisions, our pricing choices. There are so many different types of market out there, but we will primarily focus on four types of market. What are they? Monopoly, oligopoly, monopolistic competition, perfect or pure competition market. We'll focus primarily on these four types of markets. That's what we'll focus on. I am hoping that some of you may have, or most of you may already have learned about it. Like I said, you don't need to dig in deep and learn in very detailed manner the dynamics and the features of all these individual markets and be ready to write an essay, one-page essay for each of this type of market. Not really required. We don't need to learn that deep. But like I said, we need to know how, depending on the type of market in which we operate, how we can affect our pricing. How can it affect our pricing choices? That we need to be aware. How the markets can affect the price. So, to begin with, let me take opinions from you or answers from you first, because I believe in economics, you may have covered this in brief at least, if not in detail. So, monopoly market. What do you mean by a monopoly market? What's the specialty of a monopoly market? Anybody? What's the specialty of a monopoly market? Two answers I have got. Let's see. Single product in the market, not product. It's not about the product, single ownership. Okay, not ownership of the single supplier, single seller. Okay. Your idea is right, but the way you have put it across is slightly different, slightly wrong. The market is controlled by one company. Now, that's perfect. Good. Sound very good. We'll say market is a monopoly market if that market is controlled by a single entity. Means a supplier, the person who sells there, the companies that sells that product or service is only a single one. And there are no other competition at all. There's only a single party that operates in that country and that region for that product or that service. That's when we'll say it's a monopoly market. The classic long-standing example in the Indian context is IRCTC. Or before all these private networks came in, mobile phones and all came in, sorry, um, BSNL, landline connection. There was only one BSNL long back. Similarly, not now. Now we have many other kind of internet connections, sorry, mobile connections as we know. Similarly, we can say when it's a monopoly market, we can easily say IRCTC, the train, it is just government controlled, right? So that's those kind of markets where there is only a single seller. There is only a single seller. There is no competition at all. So the market is controlled there by that company. Why? Because the supply into the market, how many units it reaches the market will be determined by whom? Will be determined by that single seller. That's the specialty of monopoly, single seller. Okay, single seller. Single seller here. So that seller dominates. So automatically, I hope you would agree. I hope you will be able to relate to the logic, unless and otherwise there is government intervention. Unless and otherwise there is government intervention, government rules coming in, regulations coming in. Usually they'll have ultimate control. They'll have pure control over how to fix their price. How to fix their price. Just one query. Usually in a market, you'll have two type of parties, sellers and buyers. And we know the market price will be based on two functions, supply and demand. Supply and demand. Sellers or buyers, the demand will be based on which of this party? Sellers or buyers in a market for a commodity, sellers or buyers, who determines the demand? Who controls the demand in the market? Who controls the demand? Demand is controlled by the buyers. Good, good. Durai and Sounder, good, I agree. Buyers basically are the ones who create the demand. What is demand? The number of units that can be sold in a market. That's based on the customers. That is based on the customers, the buyers. Good, everybody. So automatically, you can easily imagine the supply, that is the items that is available to be utilized, or the number of items that is available to be purchased. The supply. Who determines the supply in the market? Who controls, who determines the supply in the market? Buyers or sellers? Buyers or sellers? Sellers? Seller? Seller? And I happily to concur with everybody. Seller. Seller will control the supply. So the supply will be controlled by the seller, by the company, by the business, and the demand will be controlled by the buyers, the customers. So this basic logic we need to understand, we need to appreciate. I hope you got it. Okay. Now coming back, monopoly. What happens? Single seller. There is only a single seller. So automatically what will happen? They will usually have good control over the pricing because there is nobody else to compete and all. So they are the ones who will control the supply in the market. They can easily control the price where in a monopoly market. And like I was told by Saundar, yes, monopoly market means a single seller, single company controlling that industry, controlling that market. Come down, the next one, oligopoly market. The next market, oligopoly market. Can anyone tell me what is oligopoly market? What do you mean by oligopoly market? Anybody? What is the specialty of an oligopoly market? If you have learned and if you remember, tell me briefly. Let's see what I'm told. Don't know, sir. Okay, no problem. What is an oligopoly market? In an oligopoly market, there are few dominant sellers. Let me repeat myself. Few dominant sellers, few, very few. So it's not like there are so many suppliers, so many sellers, rather there are few only. And they control the market. So not a single seller, there are multiple parties, but there are only few. There are only few. So few, very specific few, dominant sellers. This situation is what we refer to as oligopoly market. This situation is what we refer to as oligopoly market. What happens in oligopoly market? Few dominant sellers. Few very dominant sellers. So they control the market. They control the market there. Now let me take it to the real world. When you say oligopoly market in the real world, gold, diamonds, pharmaceuticals, these are all classic examples. We'll not see numerous number of companies in there. Rather, there'll be at the international level, there'll be few people who controls the supply. Who controls the supply. Some of you might have seen this a little old movie called Thani Oruvan. It's Jayan Devi's police movie. Thani Oruvan. I don't. It's a Tamil movie. Yeah, it was translated or rather remade in Telugu as well by the name Dhruva. I don't know how many of you watch movies and how many of you have watched it. There are certain scenes where they talk about the pharmaceutical companies forming a under the table tie-up. You may have seen in many movies. You may have seen that. So these companies are competing with each other, but they have an agreement with each other. That kind of a situation is what we call as cartels, price cartels or cartels. So when you have few dominant sellers, often what will happen? They will form cartels. Means what? They'll group together. They'll come together so they can control the market. They will have an agreement with each other. Like pharmaceutical companies and all, say, for example, cancer medicines in India, for example, they're very expensive. If they want, they may sell it at a lower rate. But what will they do? They will get in an agreement with each other. All these pharmaceutical companies, they'll get in an agreement with each other. Everybody will agree with each other that they will not reduce the price beyond a particular level. They will never make it a very cheap item. Rather, they'll keep it at a minimum level. A very minimum high price will be kept. Why? So that everybody gets good margin. They will not supply item at a cheap rate in the market because they control majority supply in the market. They are this phenomenon. It's controlled by this few handful of dominant sellers. So they control it. They control it. That sort of a situation is what we call as oligopoly. So there what happens? Cartels might be formed. Now, what is this cartel? This dominant players, them coming together and forming, in a way, most cases illegal, otherwise informal arrangement with each other. Arrangement, agreement with each other. So they will fix prices based on the cartels. That's oligopoly market. Then monopolistic. I'll come to monopolistic. Before that, I'll go to perfect or pure competition. Perfect or pure competition. What happens here? Many sellers, many buyers. Many sellers, many buyers. Numerous sellers, numerous buyers. When you learn, no, in our economics, when we draw graphs and downward sloping demand, upward sloping supply, and all those kind of graph that we learn and all macro equilibrium, usually we assume perfect competition market or pure competition market. Now think about it. There are many sellers and there are many buyers. Sellers determine the supply. So when you have so many sellers out there, it means what? A few sellers, one or two sellers are not controlling the market supply. Even if you try to cut down the supply, others will sell. So you're not in control of there. In a perfect competition market, what happens? The sellers will not be in control of fixing the price. Remember, we are talking all of this with respect to pricing. How the market situation can affect the pricing. So if we are operating in a pure competition market, if we are a company running in a pure competition market, operating in a pure competition market, then your individual company may not have control over the pricing because pricing will be determined by market function of demand and supply. This many sellers, they control the supply, but it's coming from many sellers, so you'll not have individual control. And demand also, it's not coming from an individual party because there are many buyers, so it's not controlled by a single party. Therefore, what will happen? The price will be set based on the market function of supply and demand, based on the market equilibrium of supply and demand, where in a pure competition market. The best situation where no single party doesn't control the supply, no single party doesn't control the demand. So sellers have the option. If one buyer is not ready to buy, you can sell it to another seller, another buyer. Similarly, sellers also doesn't have control because buyers have the freedom. If one seller is not selling the item at a price they are looking for, or one seller cuts down the supply, item will be available from another supplier, another seller. So the market is not controlled by a single entity. Rather, it's purely based on the market function of demand and supply. That's pure competition or perfect competition market. Can I have a confirmation on this? We discuss monopoly, oligopoly, and pure competition. 3. Thus far, are we good? Are we clear? Thus far, are we good? Are we clear? Yes. Okay. Anybody with a doubt? Are we good with the descriptions thus far? Are we good with the descriptions thus far? Okay. That takes me to the second last one. That takes me to the second last one. Monopolistic competition. What is it? Monopolistic competition, the last one. Again, first I'll ask you people, have you guys learned about monopolistic competition? Have you guys learned about monopolistic competition in your studies before? Do you know what this is before I start? Do you guys know what this is? Give me yes or no, guys. Do you guys know what is monopolistic competition? Give me yes or no. It'll be a good starting point. Do you guys know what is monopolistic competition? Yes, sir. Okay. Then what is it? What is monopolistic competition? How do you describe it? How do you explain it in brief terms? That will do. Very brief terms, but what is it? How does it work? No, sir. Okay. Thanks, Isaga. One yes, one no, but no description yet. What is monopolistic competition? Many sellers, yeah, by the way, monopoly, oligopoly, and pure competition, all the cases we are assuming same product. We are assuming a case where same product, many sellers selling, or same product, few dominant sellers selling, or same product, many sellers selling. Same product or same service. But when it comes to monopolistic competition, many sellers selling the same but not identical products. Okay, I know it can be confusing one shot. So I'll help you here. Many, give me a minute. Sorry, just give me a minute. A minute. Hmm. Yeah. Sorry. So monopolistic competition. What happens? Many sellers. Many sellers. The next point is the most important part. Same but not identical products. Right? I hope you got it. Many sellers, same but not identical products. Same but not identical products. Now, what do you mean by this? So there are many sellers, which means no one party can control the pricing. It's not controlled. The supply is not controlled by a single seller. Therefore, no one party cannot control the pricing. However, they're not selling the same item. Sorry, even though they are selling the same item, it's not identical. Classic example I can give: phones, mobile phones. Right, mobile phones. So, for example, okay. I have two phones with me. One is iPhone, right? One is an iPhone, and then I have a Sony Xperia, an old model, right? One is an Android device, the other one is an iOS device. Two different products. Both are mobiles, but the technology they use, products, the technology they use, the platform it belongs to, the operating system it belongs to, everything is different. Everything is different. The technology used with respect to camera, with respect to other aspects, multimedia, everything is very different between the two models. So same product, both are mobile phones. So both are basically the same product essentially, but not identical in the sense features could be very, very different. The features, the specification could be very, very different. Car, another example. So such markets is what we refer to as monopolistic, which is very much there is a lot in the real world now, because products have a lot of differentiation now. So what happens here? There are many sellers, which means no one party cannot control the pricing. But then they're not selling the identical product, no? So will you have control over the pricing? Remember, we learn all of this primarily from a pricing perspective, pricing thinking. So the question that we need to address, that we need to understand is whether we can control the pricing. If you're operating in a monopoly market, if you're operating in an oligopoly or monopolistic or pure competition, can we control the pricing? That's what we want to understand here. Monopoly, we can. If you're a single seller, of course, it's your market, you can control it. Whereas oligopoly, you can, if you're part of that cartel. When you become part of the cartel, that way you'll be able to influence the pricing, that informal group. Many times it could be illegal also. Then pure competition, perfect competition, like we said, you cannot control the pricing because they are the supplies not in your hand. It's from in many people's hand. Many suppliers are there. We can say the same thing with monopolistic because there are many sellers here as well. But then they are not selling the identical products. Same but not identical products. So in a monopolistic market, can you control the pricing as a seller, as a supplier, as a seller? Can you control the pricing? Again, conditional. Very much like in oligopoly, we said conditional. Yes, we can. If you can distinguish your product. In a monopolistic market, a seller will be able to fix their own selling price, will be able to control the pricing if they can distinguish their product compared to the competitors. Means what? If we are selling the same product as what is there already in the market, like in target pricing we mentioned, we are selling the same kind of, the branding, everything is different, but the features are basically the same as what others are also selling, like Xiaomi and all this. Just a mix up of all the different features of other products. Then you will not be able to set your own selling price. Rather, you'll have to refer to market price. You'll have to see for similar products with similar features at what price the item is sold. You will be forced to do that. But can you differentiate? Can you make your product stand out? Can you differentiate your product? Like iPhone does. They have their own unique ecosystem, unique platform. Long back it was BlackBerry. Now it is iPhone. They have their own ecosystem, their own operating system, their own platform, their own technology, everything, which is different from the Android phones in general. So like that, if we can differentiate your product, either due to technology or due to different components that we use, then that gives you an edge. Could be because of quality, could be because of technology, could be because of different platform being used, whatever it may. If you are able to differentiate your product, if you are able to distinguish your product, make your product stand out, make your product different from the other products in the market in terms of features and all, that gives you that edge. That gives you as a seller the edge to set your own price, the freedom to set your own price. If not, if you have nothing unique to offer, if your business have nothing new to offer, rather it's just a mashup of a mix of all the features that's already there in the market, nothing new, nothing unique, nothing different, then what will happen? He'll be forced to look at the market price of such a similar item, market price of such similar products when you set the price. And that's monopolistic competition. So to wrap up, monopoly, one seller who dominates many buyers. Oligopoly, relatively few competitive companies who dominates the market, few dominant sellers. Monopolistic, a large number of suppliers, sellers, but they sell similar, not identical products. Similar, but not exactly the same product. Perfect or pure competition. Many buyers and sellers. One product, but same product, but there are many buyers, many sellers. So now one party controls it. So this is a chart. You can go through it. What matters the most to us is this, the last column. What matters the most to us, again, it's from a pricing perspective. When you are selling in a company, sorry, when you are about to fix the selling price of your product, when you're about to fix the selling price of a product, depending on the type of market in which we operate, depending on whether it's a monopoly or oligopoly or monopolistic or perfect, depending on the type of market that we operate, how much control we have over pricing can be affected. And that's what we are looking at. That's what we are looking at here. Go through the chart. Go through the chart. Okay, read through it. And then if you have doubts, ask me. Go through the chart. And if you have doubts, feel free to ask me. Go through the chart. And if you have doubts, feel free to ask me. Go through the chart. And if you have a doubt, ask me. Go to the table. I'll wait for 2 minutes. Go through it. Okay. I hope I have given you guys enough time to look at it. I hope I have given you guys enough time to look at it. So now let's discuss now. Okay, let's discuss now. Again, think about it. It's from a pricing perspective. When you are a seller, here we are fixing the price. So you have to think like you're a seller. So if you're operating in a monopoly market, it means you are the only seller. You're the only seller, only supplier. Many people are there to buy. You're the only seller. So which means what? You'll have absolute control over the pricing. You'll usually have good control over the pricing. Whereas if it's oligopoly, what will happen? There are few dominant sellers. Many people are there to buy the item, but there are few dominant sellers there. So when you are one of that party, can you control the pricing? Partially, yes. It's conditional, yes. When you become part of that pricing cartel, because you become part of that pricing cartel, it's not many times it's not even legal, but you might have agreement with others that okay, we'll fix the price at a minimum this much level. That way you'll have control. Then monopolistic. Like you said, there are many buyers are there. There are many sellers also. They sell similar but not exactly the same product because features could different. So here, can we control? Remember, can we control the pricing if you're a seller in a monopolistic market? Conditional. Very much like in oligopoly case, it's conditional. Yes, you can control the pricing, but only if only if you're capable of distinguishing, differentiating your product from the competitors. If you are also essentially selling the same product as others with the similar kind of features only, then you cannot control the pricing. Rather, you will be forced to look at the market prices, refer to that when you set the price. But like iPhone example, or say for example, camera clarity of Pixel and all, Google Pixel and all example. So if such unique features are there that makes your products special, different, distinguishable from the competitors, then that gives you the edge to fix the price. So if it's similar product as the other products in the market, you will not be having the edge, you will not be having the control much. But you'll be able to have some level of control over pricing if you can differentiate your product, distinguish your product. And yeah, obviously the last one, perfect competition or pure competition market. Perfect or pure competition market. What happens here? There are many buyers, many sellers, no single party controls the supply, controls the demand. So you don't have control over pricing here. And this is a summary. The last column is what I want people to clearly understand from a pricing perspective. From a pricing perspective, depending on the type of market that we operate in, so it will work. Can I have a confirmation, please? Are we all good? Are we clear? Are we all good? Are we clear? Let's see. Yes, sir. Sandhu says yes, sir. Yes. Yes. Okay. So that's basically the type of market and how the type of markets can affect our pricing. Good. Now I know it's been a theory that post the break, the last 45 minutes or so, we have been dealing with theory. So now we'll slowly switch. We'll look at another numerical topic. We'll talk about price sensitivity. We'll talk about price sensitivity. We'll talk about the concept of price elasticity of demand. This is the next topic we'll cover. Price elasticity of demand. Price sensitivity, in other terms, elasticity of demand. There are two ways of calculating it. Again, this is something that you may have learned in your economics. I don't know whether you remember the math and the formula and all, but mostly in economics, it's also covered. When we talk about supplies, demand, etc., we do talk about and calculate this. Price elasticity of demand. And maybe, I don't know, depending on the textbooks that you refer to, the curriculum, you may have learned both the methods or you may have learned only one method. The price elasticity of demand can be calculated, computed in two ways. Number one, the point method, which is a default method, common method. When nothing is mentioned, we'll use it. And there is another method called as midpoint method. Point method or the default method and midpoint method. Okay, midpoint method also known as ARC, basically average value. ARC method is basically average. Okay, we'll come to that. We'll learn both. First of all, what is this? Price elasticity of demand. I don't have a rubber or elastic anything. I don't have anything here with me. So, price elasticity of demand. First thing that I want you guys to understand here, we are not calculating the elasticity of price. No. Sometimes when you see this, many times one misunderstanding is that we are trying to understand the elasticity of price. No, not really. We are trying to understand the elasticity of what? We are trying to understand the elasticity of demand. Elasticities of demand that we are calculating. We try to calculate the elasticity of demand. Means what? how much the demand will change. How much the demand will change. That's what we are trying to learn. I hope you got the point. I hope you got the difference. How much the demand will change. That's our concern. Right? Demand, the quantity demand in the market. That's what we are looking at. When the price changes. So price elasticity of demand tries to measure, tries to assess, tries to evaluate. This concept tries to evaluate the impact on demand, elasticity of demand. So the impact on demand, how the demand will change, how the demand will fluctuate, how the demand will move, how the demand will react, whatever term you want, when price changes, when the price changes. So we want to learn the impact of change in price on demand. In other terms, we like to, we are learning, we learn how, right, the impact, my bad. Give me a minute. We study. What are we learning here through this concept? We try to study, we try to learn, we try to understand. Through this concept, we try to understand. We try to understand what, how the demand, there is a units in the market, demand response or change or demand is affected. How the demand is changed when price is changed. Understand the chronology. What happens when the price is changed, how it will affect the demand. The impact on demand. We are trying to learn the impact on demand when there is a change in price. That's what we learn. So basically, how we calculate this is the denominator. Always remember the denominator will be the change in price. The denominator will be the change in P, the price. The numerator will be the change in quantity. Quantity as in Q or D, demand, change in quantity. Denominator, the base, the denominator is a change in price. When the price changes by a certain value, how it will change the quantity. When the price, it's a ratio. So we calculate this as, remember the numerator is change in quantity, but the denominator, the base, always remember the base is going to be change in price. When the price changes by a particular value, by a particular percentage, how much of a change, how much of an impact it will have on the quantity. That's what we try to learn. So we are trying to learn the impact on the numerator, the quantity, the change, the demand, when there is a change in the denominator, that is a price. More importantly, we want to calculate this in percentage terms, usually. Not directly in terms of change in quantity, okay, change in units divided by the change in dollar, the denominator. No, rather, both the numerator and denominator usually will use the percentages. So that's the usual default method. We'll come to the midpoint method, but first the point method. Price elasticity of demand is a measure of the extent of change in the market demand. How much the demand changes for a good or a service or a commodity in response to a change in price. When the price of a product or a commodity, a service changes, what kind of response will have on the demand? In response to a change in price, how the demand will change to what extent. So look at the formula here. Change in quantity demanded. The change in quantity demanded, where the numerator is change in quantity demanded, but read it completely. They say, make it clear. Change in quantity demanded as a percentage of demand. So percentage change in demand, the numerator. Percentage change in quantity or percentage change in demand, the numerator, divided by change in price. Denominator is change in price. Again, as a percentage. So in simple terms, I can say percentage change in demand, the numerator, divided by percentage change in price, the denominator. Percentage change in demand divided by percentage change in price. That's how we calculate PED, price elasticity of demand. Can I have a confirmation, please? Are we good? Are we clear thus far? Can I have a confirmation, please? Are we good? Are we clear? Okay. So many yes to see. Happy with that. So, assuming that all of you guys are comfortable with it, I'll straight away. The formula is already here. I'll straight away switch. We will talk about, or we will do the calculations next. We will deal with the calculations next. The formula also for your reference, I have put it there. The formula also for your reference, I have put it there. You're looking at a small example. I want you guys to calculate the PED. What is PED? Price elasticity of demand. Right? PED is price elasticity of demand. I want you to calculate. Here they say 40C and 60C. If you remember in one of the CEP earlier question, we had discussed this. C is what? Cent. C in our question stands for cent. So 100 cents is $1. Right? 100 cents is $1. That's how it works. 60C is 60 cents. 40C is 40 cents. 40 cents means what? 0.4. 40 divided by 100, $0.4. 50C will be half a dollar because 100 cent is $1. Remember that. Calculate the value here. Let it go on. Calculate the value here. Then we will discuss. Then we will discuss. Okay. Calculate the price elasticity demand. I have one answer. I'll wait for a few more answers before I dig in deep. Okay. Sound, we don't need the percentage, by the way. Okay, we don't need the percentage. Why? Because the relationship will be always negative. When you talk about PED, we automatically we know that the relation is always going to be negative. Why? The relationship higher the price, lower the demand. Lower the price, higher the demand. So if price is increasing, you expect the demand to decrease. Similarly, if the price is decreasing, you expect the demand to increase. So by default, we already know. Automatically, we know that it is negative. Okay, it is negative. So we don't need to specifically mention that. You are right if you put a negative, because here what is happening, one is going to increase, one is going to decrease. But we don't need to separately mention that. Okay, two values I have got, two different values. Sound 40, Sandosh 26.69. I'll wait. I'll wait a bit more. Let's see what other figures I'm getting. Let's see what other values I'm getting. I have got two more answers. Let me see what I have got. Two more answers. 40, 0.4, which is 40. Another 40. Again, like I was saying, I hope you guys listen to me. When you're doing it, I clearly mentioned you don't need to separately mention a negative there. You don't need to mention a negative there. It's understood. It's automatically understood that the relationship will be negative because higher the price, lower the demand. Lower the price, higher the demand. It's by default, it's like that. We don't need to separately mention it. We don't need to separately mention it. It's automatically. And I hope you got the point. I hope you got the point. You got the logic. So another okay. Guys, are you listening to what I am discussing? I can again see a negative. You don't need to separately mention the negative. Why? Because PD will always be negative. By default, it will always be negative. It cannot be positive. Why? It's a ratio. One will increase, the other one will decrease. If the price, the denominator is increasing, the numerator, the demand will decrease. Right? You increase the price, demand will fall. Negative relation. Or if you decrease the price, automatically the demand will increase. Lower the price, higher the demand. So it'll always operate in an opposite direction. So it's going to be always negative. You don't have to waste your time putting a negative in there. It's by default always negative. Is this clear to everybody for once and all? The PED factor, you don't have to separately mention. It's always by default. It's always negative only. It's not special. It's not going to be positive. It'll always be negative. Is this clear? Are we good? Thank you. Thank you. Others? Is this clear? Because despite me mentioning, I could see so many people again coming and saying negative, 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 negative. Okay. Okay. So now let's do the math. Okay, let's do the math. I'm happy to see that many people gave the correct answer, by the way. Let's discuss this. If I have to systematically put it down here, what will I do? Numerator and denominator, I'll systematically work it out. This is for your reference. In my exam, I will not spend this much time. For a reference. As of now, what is happening? What is the quantity? 20. What's the quantity? 20. And they are saying this 20 will become 16. Scenario 1 and scenario 2. S1 and S2 is scenario 1 and scenario 2, or case 1 and case 2. So as of now, the quantity is 20. When the price is $0.4, that is 40 cents. 40 cents, right? When the price is 40 cents, demand is 20. They are saying that if you change the price from 40C to 60C, so what will happen? The price will increase. The price will increase by $0.2 or 20 cents. What will happen? The demand will fall. As you can see, higher the price is increasing, demand will fall. We want it to be the numerator and the denominator to be in percentage terms. So how do you calculate in percentage? We'll take the difference here. The difference will be $0.2, right? 0.4 to 0.6, 40 cents to 60 cents, 20 cents increase, $0.2 increase. So as a percentage, how much it will be? 20 cents divided by the current one, the present value. What is the present value? 40 cents. All right, we are increasing the price from current value 40 cents to 60 cents. How much is the increase? 20 cents. Increase is 20 cents. Upon the base, the denominator, there will be the original value, the current value, which is 40 cents. From 40, another 20 of increase. So as a percentage, 20 divided by 40, 50, 0.5, 50%. As you know, 0.5 is 50%. Similarly, numerator. What is the difference? There is an increase of 4. There's an increase of 4 units. What is the percentage of this increase? 4 divided by 20, because the current quantity is 20. Right? The current quantity is 20. From there, it is increasing by 4. So the percentage increase will be 4 divided by 20. 0.20%. So my numerator, the change in quantity is 0.2 or 20%. Again, say 0.2, 20%. And the denominator, the change in price is 50%. As you know, 0.2 is 20%, 0.5 is 50%. It's just a matter of multiply by 100 to see the percentage. So now applying this 0.2, sorry, 20 percentage divided by 50 percentage, 40 percentage. Or like many of you had given, this value could be presented very much like a decimal. 0.2 divided by 0.5. 0.2 divided by 0.5. It will come to 0.40. 0.40 is nothing but 40 percentage. 40 percentage. And yes, it is negative. It's by default negative. We don't need to spend our time trying to specifically mention because it's always going to be negative. In this case, price increased, demand decreased. You may get another question where the price is slashed, the price is reduced, the demand will increase. It's always negative. But yeah, I got few different values, but most of the values were 0.4 or 40 percentage. I'm happy to see that. Very, very happy to see that. Which takes us to the next one, which means we can go to the next one. Here we go. Here we go. Help me with the values here. Values. I hope you know what I wanted to calculate. I wanted to calculate what is the price elasticity demand. Question is simple. Again, they want you to calculate, or I want you to calculate PED. Let's see what I have got. Okay, noted Santosh. Shall wait. One answer, two answer now. Number of answers are tried up for some reason. Interesting. Thank you. Two different answers, two different values. Another value, let's see, 1.23, 123 percentage. Okay. Okay. I have got the answers now. Let's go ahead. Let's now discuss. So the values I have got, what will you do? The formula is the same. PED will be percentage change in quantity divided by percentage change in demand. That's how we'll compute it. Okay. Now, if I want, I can go it systematically, but the easiest way of the most convenient way of doing it, if you ask me, I can easily get the change in price here. What is change in price? Sorry, change in quantity here. They say the change in quantity is 75,000. The demand will fall by 75,000. So what will the percentage of that? If you're really smart, 75,000 divided by 8 lakh, 800,000. Current quantity is 8 lakh, it will fall by, it will reduce by 75,000. So the percentage will be 75,000 upon 8 lakh, 800,000. 0.09375. What is this 9.375 percentage? What is the denominator? Percentage change in price. How the price will change? 1.2 will become 1.3. 1.2 will become 1.3. Price is increasing one more time. So what is the difference? $0.1, right? $0.1 divided by what is the current price? 1.2. From 1.2, it will become 1.3. So the current price is 1.2. So change in price, which is $0.1 divided by current price of 1.2. So the 0.8333, right? Based on this, I can do the math. This divided by this, done, job done. 1.125, or if I have to convert this as a percentage, 112 5%, 112.5%. Both are acceptable answers. Both are C. Sometimes in decimal we'll say, sometimes in percentage. The other way of doing it, like I said, the lengthy way of doing it, what is the current price? 1.2. The current price is 1.2. When the price is 1.2, what is the demand? The demand is 800,000, 8 lakh. They say change the price from 1.2 to 1.1, sorry, 1.3, increase the price to 1.3. What will happen to the demand? Demand will fall by 75,000. They said it will fall by 75. So 8 lakh minus 75. 8 lakh minus 75,000. The new demand will be 72,500. The new demand will be 72,500. So now what is the difference? We know 8 lakh minus 7 lakhs and 25,000, 75,000 difference in demand. As a percentage, difference is 75,000 divided by original demand is, current demand is 8 lakh. 75,000 upon 8 lakh, 0.9375, same percentage that we got here. Similarly, change in price. The price is changing by increasing by $0.1, 1.2 to 1.3, $1.1. So 0.1 divided by original price, current price of 1.2, 0.833, the same denominator. As you can see, the same numerator and denominator will get same. So the answer will come to 1.125 or 112.5%. So here we could say 0.4 or 40%. Here we could say 1.125 or 112.5%. Two values, two different values. I hope you do agree. I hope you do concur. That takes us to the next part. Actually, is the calculation clear to everybody? I had seen different answers. I had seen 123, not 112, 123, which is confusing. I had seen different values, 89%, etc. Again, keep it simple. Identify the change in quantity, and the change in quantity divided by the original quantity, the current quantity. You'll get the percentage change in quantity. Similarly, identify the change in price, difference in price divided by the current price. You'll get the change in price. Then those two values, the percentages, divide it. We'll get it. Are we good? Are we clear thus far? Can I have a confirmation, please? Are we good? Are we clear thus far? Are the calculations, the numbers here clear to everybody? Please do confirm. Thanks, Nanida. Thanks today. Others, are we cool? Are the values crystal clear to everybody? Any doubts at all? I did my calculations over, so the answer was wrong. That is correct. Okay. Fact. Okay. Any, okay, no, sir, as in, okay, yes, sir. Thank you. Okay, fine. There's a bit more obviously that we have to cover. We need to also understand the dynamics of this is point method. We need to also know point method, and more importantly, why are we learning all this? We learn PED. We learn to calculate this so that we can understand how we can affect the pricing. Intention is that the purpose is to understand how this can affect the pricing, right? How it can affect the pricing. So that we'll learn. So we have seen two levels of Achille. Let me just ask one more question and close it off, and then we'll go for a break. When we come back, we'll close off the further discussions. We'll close off. Okay. Mostly, I think our class should end by around 11:30, 11:40 range. But we'll go for a short break. We'll resume at 11:10. Okay. But before that, one last question before the next break. I'll give you a 15 minutes break. 15 minutes break. The next question I have for all of you. Okay. The next question I have for all of you. Here, the price elasticity was 40, 0.4 or 40%. Here, the price elasticity was 112.5% or 1.125 or 112.5%. One of this we'll say is elastic in nature, and the other one will usually refer to as inelastic. Let me say one more time. We usually describe the two values we got now. One of this we'll usually describe it as elastic demand. The other one will refer to it as, one of this will refer to as inelastic demand. We did two problems. One we got 40%, the other one we got 112%. One of this will refer to as elastic demand. The other one will refer to as inelastic demand. So help me here. This 112.5% or 40%. Which of this we will call it as inelastic in nature? 40% or 125%, sorry, 112.5%. Which one do you think is inelastic in nature? Or tell me which one is elastic in nature. One of that. Help me identify 40% or 112.5%. Which of this is inelastic in nature? Inelastic in nature. Any idea? This is assuming that you had learned about these things long back in your far gone memories. Which one? Guys, 40% or 112%? Which one will you refer to, or which one will you describe as inelastic in nature? Which one will refer to as inelastic in nature, as per your understanding, as per your logic? Which one will you say is inelastic? 40 is inelastic. 112.5 is elastic. Thanks, Santosh. I happily agree. This 112.5 or 1.125 will called as elastic. Will call refer to as elastic in nature. And this one, 40%, will refer to it as 40% or 0.4% value will refer to as elastic in nature. Elastic in nature. Done for time being. We are going on a break. We are not done completely. There is more. Yes. Time is of 10:57 now. We'll resume at 11:15. Okay, we'll resume at 11:15. Maybe another half an hour, but we'll go for a break. We need another half an hour to close off this, I guess. But we'll go for a break now. Maximum half an hour, maximum. Okay. But we'll first go for a break now, and necessary break. Have some fresh air and be back by 11:50. Please have some fresh air and please be back by 11:50. Okay. Thank you. Welcome back. Welcome back, guys. I'll just, I will share the screen. Okay. Okay. So before the break, we had discussed this. We had mentioned this. The 40% wall item, we'll say it is elastic in nature, whereas this one we'll say it is, sorry, what am I saying? This will called as inelastic. I made a mistake here. This will called as inelastic in nature, whereas 112% will called as elastic in nature. So the cutoff, so to speak, is very simple and neat. Okay, the cutoff that we use is very simple and neat. If the value is above 1, or in other terms, if it's percentage above 100, we'll call it as elastic. Like in the second case, 112.5% or 1.125. Whereas if it's a case of first one, if it's like the first one, when it's less than 100% or less than 1, we'll call it as inelastic in nature. We'll refer to it as inelastic in nature. That's a basic differentiation. That is the primary differentiation between the two methods, between the two values, right? Elastic and inelastic. Now, how does it affect us? How does it affect our pricing? That's what we are bothered about. That's what we should be concerned about. How does it affect our pricing? See, if the item is inelastic, often there is this misunderstanding that when you say something is inelastic, there are some students who think, okay, inelastic means the demand will not change at all. Inelastic means the demand will not change at all. No. When you say inelastic, what it means is demand will change, demand will move, demand will change, but at a lower percentage. That's all. The change in demand, the numerator, would be at a lower percentage. The change in demand will be at a smaller, lower percentage. That's the only difference. Otherwise, it's not like, okay, when you say something is inelastic, it will not change at all. It will change. In inelastic case, it will change, but just that the numerator will be less than the denominator. See, remember, the value will be less than 1 or the value will be less than 100. What does it mean? Compared to the numerator, compared to the denominator, when will a ratio be less than 1? Compared to the denominator, the numerator, the value is lesser. Right? If the value, the ratio is above 1, above 100 or above 1, it means numerator is higher. Compared to the denominator, numerator is higher. If the value is below 1, it means compared to the denominator, numerator is lower. Right? Mathematically, that's what it basically means when you are looking at a ratio of 1. So if it is inelastic, like in this case, 40%, if it's inelastic, what it means is when the price, the denominator is a change in price. When the price change, the change in demand will be at a lower percentage. Demand will change, but at a lower percentage. That's all that it means. It doesn't mean that it will not change at all. It will change, but at a lower percentage. Number one. And if it's elastic in nature, like the second case, 112.5 or 1.125, if it's elastic in nature, that means when the price, the denominator, when the price changes, the numerator will change at a much higher percentage. The numerator will change at a much higher percentage. Much higher percentage. That's what it means to us. So this too, I hope you got the point. So in total, we can categorize mainly into two, elastic and inelastic. Elastic and inelastic. But are these the only two categories? No, there is actually a total of 5 categorization. In total, we can say there is 5 categories of elasticity. 5. So what are they? Let's have a look. There are 5. What are they? We'll look at it one by one. First, inelastic, we already know this. Here, what will happen? The denominator will be higher. Denominator is change in price. Numerator is change in quantity. So when it is inelastic, like the first case, 40%, it means that the percentage change in demand, then change in quantity, the change in demand as a percentage, it is lower than the change in price, the denominator. In other terms, the denominator is higher. The change in price is higher. Change in demand is at a lower percentage. That is what we call as inelastic case, like we saw here, 40%, less than 100%, less than 1. Here, the PED value will be less than 1. but more than 0. It won't be 0, it will be more than 1. Because there is change. Right? When the value is like this, like I kept saying, like I discussed, inelastic doesn't mean that like a demand will not change at all. Demand is changing. Here, 40%. So inelastic doesn't mean the demand will not change, it will remain constant. It will change, but it will over percentage. At a lesser percentage, that's all. Now compare that with the next part. Perfectly inelastic. What does it mean? Demand will not change at all. You change the price, the demand will not change at all. That's what we'll call it as perfectly inelastic. Inelastic means what? There is no change in quantity. Demand is not changing no matter what. You increase the price, you decrease the price, the demand doesn't change, it stays like a rock. That situation is what we call as perfectly inelastic. So understand the difference. If we just say inelastic, when we just say inelastic, it doesn't mean that demand will not change. Demand will change. Where the PED value will be less than 1, but not 0. It will be more than 0, less than 1. 0.2, 0.5, 0.8 like that. Or less than 100%, more than 0. That's elastic. Sorry, that's inelastic. My bad. That's inelastic. But when we say demand will not change at all, if you see a case where the demand is not changing at all, demand is not moving at all, then that is a case of, if the demand is not changing at all, that is a case of perfectly inelastic situation where the PED value will be 0. Why? Change in demand will not happen. Demand is not changing. So the numerator will be 0. So, in a ratio, if the numerator is 0, then the value will give you 0. The value will give you 0. So that's perfectly inelastic, perfectly inelastic. Similarly, the next one, elastic, means what? More than 1. What will happen here? The numerator will be higher. As we discussed, like in this case, 1.125 or 112.5%. What does it mean? When the ratio is above 1, it means numerator is higher than the denominator. What is our numerator? Change in price. What is our denominator? Change in quantity. Sorry, I'm sorry, the other way around. What is our numerator? Change in quantity, change in demand as a percentage. What is our denominator? Change in price as a percentage. So if it's elastic, it means it's above 1. It means the change in quantity as a percentage, the change in quantity is higher than the change in price. Like here, elastic 1.125, it's above 1. What happened? Denominator, the price change is 8.33%, but the numerator 9.375%. So here we'll call it as elastic. Here what will happen? The percentage change in demand will be higher than the percentage change in price. The percentage change in demand will be higher than the percentage change in price. In other terms, the PED value will be above 1. Above 1. Third case. Then there is the other extreme to it. Perfectly elastic. Perfectly elastic. What happens here when it is perfectly elastic? The PED value is unpredictable. It's infinite. When you change the price, the denominator, when we change the price, the numerator will change. The demand will fluctuate. The demand will change, but it's unpredictable. We can't predict exactly how much it will change. We cannot predict exactly how much it will change. That kind of a situation is what we refer to as perfectly elastic. Unpredictable case, perfectly elastic. So it's totally, you change the price slightly, you cannot clearly mention. It's unquantifiable. We cannot clearly say how much it will change. We know it will change, but it's going to be unmeasurable. Then a very rare situation is there where the percentage change in price and the percentage change in demand, the numerator percentage change in demand, the denominator percentage change in price will be equal percentage. That situation, very rare, we'll call it as unitary elastic. This will refer to as unitary elastic. This will refer to as unitary elastic situation where the PED value will be 1 because the percentage change in price and the percentage change in demand both will be equal to each other. Both will be exactly equal to each other. That is basically what the situation will call it as perfectly, what did I say? Perfectly, sorry, my bad, unitary elastic. The situation will refer to as unitary elastic. Unitary elastic, where PED is exactly 1. PD value is exactly 1. Anyway, so that's the summary of the 5 levels of elasticity. Now remember, out of this, the most practically relevant ones are inelastic items and elastic items. These are the ones that we'll see the most in the real world. And this is rare. This one is rare. May happen, but very rarely it will be there in reality. So the strings, that is inelastic and elastic, the perfectly inelastic and the perfectly elastic ones, they are actually theoretical in nature. They are not usually there in reality. You may see items that are inelastic, where when the price change, demand will change at a lower rate only. It will remain stable, we often say. But even when we say it will remain stable, it doesn't mean it will not change at all. It will change, but at a smaller percentage. That's all. But items where the demand will not change at all, no matter what, such items, it's very impractical to actually find it. Very, very impractical to find it. Even when it's a, for example, it's a medicine. If the medicine is become unaffordably expensive, what will happen? There'll be at least a few people who will say, okay, I can't bear it. We can't bear, we can manage that expense. We'll just let it go. We'll not get the treatment done. Unfortunate, but can happen. I'm just giving an example. So anything for that matter, we cannot say it is perfectly inelastic. Similarly, we cannot say it is perfectly elastic either. Most items will be either inelastic or elastic in nature. If it's less than 1 but more than 0, inelastic. If it's more than 1, it is elastic. This is what practically most items will belong to. And very rarely, you may end up having very rare cases, exactly 1 by fluke. The percentage will match exactly, cancel out each other. So they will say it's unitary elastic. Can I have a confirmation, please? Thus far, are we good? Are we clear? The 5 levels of elasticity. Are we good? Are we clear? Are we good? Are we clear? Let's see. Yes, yes. Everybody, are we comfortable? Are we good? With the 5 levels of elasticity, are we good? Anybody have a doubt? Anybody have a query? Okay. So we have 5 levels of elasticity. But again, remember, our concern, our discussion, our concern is again from a pricing perspective. How the elasticity can affect the pricing. That's our headache. That's our focus. How the pricing can be affected by, how the pricing decisions can be affected by elasticity. So let's understand that. For that, help me with this answer. Help me with this answer. If you see that a product is highly inelastic in nature, should we sell that item at a discount? What do you think? Remember, when should we sell an item at a discount and all, it's a pricing decision. It basically affects our pricing, right? It is a pricing decision. So if an item is highly inelastic, should we sell it at a discount? What do you think? Give me a yes or no. Simple question. Give me a yes or no. Yes or no. That's the answer that I'm looking for. When an item, if a product is highly inelastic means what? 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, like that. Less than 1, very less than 1, but close to 0, but not 0, above that. If it's highly inelastic, if the value is highly inelastic, should we sell that item at a discount? Should we sell that item at a discount? What do you think? Should we give it a discount or not? Yes or no? Let's see. No, says Santosh. One answer. No, says Sneha. 2 answers. 2 of them says no. And I happily concur, happily agree with both of them. I can see that others had joined a little late after the break as well. So now, in the initial part, we discussed about the inelasticity. So when an item is highly inelastic, should we sell the item at a discount? No. The answer is no, we should not. Correct. Santosh and Sneha, very good. We should not sell it at a discount. Why? See, in the real world also, leave out the textbook and all, you might, many a times, you might see products maybe textile brands and all or other shoes, other different items. They'll say end of the year sales, or they'll say year-end sales, or discount sales, or festive season sales. And what will they do? They'll slash the price. They'll slash the price. Now, what is the idea behind that? If the price is reduced, more people will come and buy the item, right? More people will come and buy the item. So when will it happen? When will more and more people come and buy the item if you sell the item at a discount? If it is elastic, giving items at a discount makes sense more for the elastic items, not for inelastic item. Why? When we say something is inelastic, it kind of means somewhat stable demand. The somewhat means somewhat stable demand, which also means that even if you reduce the price, demand will remain. Again, demand, I'm not saying demand will not change at all. It will change, but at a lower percentage. See, why do we sell the item at a discount? What is the intention? Discounts will be beneficial when the products are elastic. Why? If the products are elastic in nature, what will happen? If the products are elastic in nature, change in change in price, change in quantity. The products are elastic in nature, then you are giving a discount. You are reducing the price. You are giving a discount. So automatically what will happen? Profit will come down. When the discounts is given, profit per unit will come down. But then it will be compensated by higher percentage increase in demand if it is elastic. Again, apply the logic, understand the logic there. If an item is elastic, what does it mean? Numerator or denominator, which is higher? Numerator is higher. The change in demand is higher. So for an item which is elastic in nature, if you change the price, if you reduce the price, of course the profit will come down, denominator will come down, but because price is coming down, but what will happen? You will be compensated with higher sales. You'll get whatever you're losing in the denominator, you'll be compensated with more sales in the numerator. Whatever you're losing, sacrificing in the denominator, you'll get even more from the increase in the numerator. Increase in the numerator, the change in quantity. Why? Because it's elastic. So there it makes sense when it is elastic in nature. But if it is inelastic, like in this question we said, if it is highly inelastic, what does it mean? Even if you reduce the price, demand will not increase drastically. When the item is inelastic, what will happen? When the item is inelastic, say for example, okay, this is for example, if it's inelastic. If it's inelastic, what will happen? So for example, we reduce the price by 10%, but the sales might increase only by maybe 2% or 4%. Right? This is what will happen. So it's not good. Even if you are reducing the price, the increase in the sales that you're getting is not worth it. Not worth it. Whereas if it's elastic in nature, if it's elastic in nature, what will basically happen? Give me a minute, guys. Just give me a minute. When it is elastic in nature, what basically will happen? What will be higher? Numerator will be higher. So let's say you reduce the price by 10%. You reduce the price by 10%. Right? You're slashing the price by 10%. You're letting go of profitability that much. But what will happen? You'll be compensated with higher sales. Maybe the sales will increase by 18%, or sales will increase by 20%, or sales will increase by 15%. So whatever drop is there in the denominator will be compensated with even higher increase in the sales quantity. You'll be able to sell that much more. You'll be compensated. So discounts, you will sell an item at a discount level when it is elastic in nature, not when it is inelastic. Now I have a next question for you. True or false? This one, true or false? Tell me. If the product demand is elastic, the company will benefit from increase in the selling price. True or false? Again, this will also be another example of how it can affect us. True or false? True or false? False, false. Two answers, and I happily do concur. Happily do agree. If the product demand is elastic, should we increase the price? See, what will happen when you increase the price? The basic logic we already know. Higher the price, lower the demand is the case, right? In the earlier case, we spoke about discount. So you lowered the price, you expect increase in sales. But what will happen here? We are going to increase the selling price. If you increase the selling price and if it's elastic in nature, what will happen? Price is increased by maybe 5%, 10%, but it's elastic. So the drop in sales will be at a higher percentage. You will lose sales at a higher percentage. So it doesn't make sense. False. The product is demand. When the product is highly elastic, it makes sense to sell at a discounted rate than market rate. More and more people will buy. So what are you losing in terms of profit? You'll be compensated with higher sales. But the other way around, if you increase the price, what will happen? That much more people will leave you. They will go to competitors. They'll go to competitor products. You will lose that. The loss in sales, the numerator will be higher than the increase in sales, increase in price, profit, so false. So this is how, as you can see, pricing will get affected by elasticity. Whether to increase the price or decrease the price, etc., can be affected. Whether to sell the item at the market rate itself or at a lower rate or at a higher rate, that can be affected. That pricing decision can be affected by the nature of the products, the elasticity of the products. And like I said earlier, we looked at one method, the point method. There is one more method, midpoint method. And this is a formula for it. You may note it down. The last topic for us today, midpoint method. Same concept, but if they ask you to calculate the elasticity using midpoint values or midpoint method or average value, this is how we have to do it. The change in quantity demanded divided by the average quantity. Divided by the average quantity. So what is average quantity? The two quantities given. The two quantities given divided by 2, mathematical average. That is going with the numerator. What will the denominator? Change in price, the dollar value of change in price divided by average price. So both the prices added divided by 2, the denominator. So if they ask you to calculate the PED using the midpoint method, this will be the formula. Interpretations are the same, more than one elastic, more less than one inelastic, etc. But it's a different method. It will give you different values. This method is different, the values will be different. This is called as, this is point method, this is midpoint method. I hope you have all noted down the formula. I hope that you guys have noted down the formula. Can I have a confirmation, please? Have you guys noted down the formula? Please note down the formula and let me know. Then I will give you a question to work it out, to verify. I hope you guys have jotted down the formula. Yes, sir. Yes. 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 Okay. So let's go. Sharing the screen. Okay. Actually, the same as the first scenario. Sale of a chocolate bar. The same scenario here that we have seen. But this time, I'm specifically asking you to calculate the price elasticity demand using the midpoint method. This time, I want you guys to use the midpoint method specifically. That's the only difference. That's the only difference. Let's see what value you guys get. Let's see what answers you guys are getting. How many answers thus far? One answer. I'll wait. I'll patiently wait. Thanks, Santosh. One answer. Let's see what other answer I'm getting. Sounder says 55%, totally different values, 0.5, 50%, three different values, three people, three answers. Okay, interesting. I'll wait. I'll wait a bit more. Okay, answers have tried up. Post that answers have tried up. There's no more answers that I'm able to see. No further answers that I'm able to see. Fine. Let's go. Let's go. Let's discuss one by one. Let's discuss. This time, they want you to use midpoint method. So what will happen? We need two figures, change in quantity, right? What is the formula? Change in quantity divided by average quantity. What is the change in quantity? 20 units minus 16 units. 20 minus 16. The change in quantity is 4 units. 4 chocolates will come down. What is the average quantity? Current quantity is 20. Current quantity is 20. New quantity will be 16. So what is the average quantity? 20 plus 16. The whole divided by 2. 80. 80. So what is the numerator? 4 divided by 80. The numerator will be what? Change in quantity, which is 4 units divided by average quantity. What is average quantity? 20 plus 16 divided by 2. Right? Done. Similarly, come to what is the name? Sorry, I'm not getting it. Yeah. Come to the denominator. What is the change in price? From $0.6, or rather from $0.4, it is increasing to $0.6. So the difference is 0.6 minus 0.4. We don't have to worry about the sign. I already have mentioned $0.2. Difference is 20 cents or $0.2. What is the average price? 0.4 plus 0.6. Current price is $0.4, 40 cents. New price is 60 cents. So 0.4 plus 0.6, the whole divided by 2. Right? 0.4 plus 0.6, that is 40 cents plus 60 cents. $1 divided by 2. 0.5. So what is the denominator? 0.2 divided by 0.5. 0.2 divided by the change in price is $0.2 divided by average price is 0.5. So 0.4. Sorry, 0.4. So what is the value? 0.2222 divided by 4.4, 0.55 or 0.56, you may round and say. So the answer that, if I'm not wrong, Sounder had given. I don't know whether anybody else had given that given value. Sneha, 0.5 basically means it will come to exactly 50, but this is 50. In percentage is 55 or 55.56 percentage. Okay, so there's that difference. 55%, that is a bit more acceptable. Around 55% will be the value here. Are we all good? Are we clear with this? Can I have a confirmation, please? Are we all good? Are we clear with this? Can I have a confirmation, please? Are the values and the answer clear to one and all? Please do confirm. Please do verify. Anybody have a confusion? Ask away. Clear it off. Okay. Thanks, Anita. Could you please repeat again? Yeah. Sneha, is the formula clear to you? Is the formula that we use clear to you here under the midpoint method? Yeah. So now help me here. What is a change in quantity? Sneha, how much the quantity is changing? What is a change in quantity? Remember, this time we are not using percentage change in quantity. Here the formula was percentage change in quantity, right? Here it is not that. Here it is just change in quantity. What is a change in quantity, Sneha? What's the change in quantity? Yeah, so what is a change? I would agree. You said 20 and 4, 16. So what is a change? 4. Do you agree? Do we agree on that? Thank you. So the change in quantity for the change in quantity there is 4. Divided by what? Average quantity. So what is average quantity? Like in your picking only, you had mentioned the quantities are 20 and 16 respectively. So what is average quantity? 20 plus 16 divided by 2. This is what I did here. 20, as you can see in the math here in that column, 20 plus 16, the whole divided by 2. 20 plus 16 will come to 36 divided by 2. 80. Right? 4 is a change in quantity. Change in quantity is 4. Average quantity is 18. How did I get that? 20 plus 16, the whole, divide that by 2. So basically, it'll come to 4 divided by 18, which will give me 0.2222, like that it goes. Is that part clear? Sneha, is that part clear? Are we good with that? Thank you. Good. Now, the same logic I'll apply for the denominator. Change in price by average price. Right? What is the change in price? It is changing from 40C to 60C. 40C is $0.4. 60C is $0.6. So how much it is increasing or decreasing? 0.2. The change is what matters. The change in price is $0.2. $0.2. Or you can put it in cents. You'll get the same value, by the way. Even if you put it in cents, you'll get the same value. You can check that. 60 minus 40, 20, then 40 plus 60 divided by 2, the average. And then we'll say 20 divided by 40. 20 divided by 50, my bad. We'll get the same 0.4, the denominator. So whether you do it in dollars or whether you do it in cents, you'll get the same value because it's a percentage or the ratio we are using. So coming back to the point, Sneha, what is a change in price from 0.4, 40 cents, 0.4 to 60 cents, $0.2. Is this clear to you? Is this part clear, Sneha? Are we good with this? Okay. What is the denominator going to be? The change in price. Sorry, the average price, my bad. The average price. What are the prices? 40 cents and 60 cents. So what is the average price? 0.4 plus 0.6. These are the prices. The whole divided by 2. Which means $0.2 divided by 0.4 plus 0.6. You'll get $1. 1 divided by 2 will be 0.5. 0.5 here. So $0.2 divided by $0.5 will give me 0.4. The denominator. The numerator and the denominator. Then that's 0.222 divided by 0.4. I'll get the answer. It's not the same formula as the earlier one. In the earlier part, both the numerator and denominator both were expressed as a percentage. Here is not as a percentage. It's in absolute terms that we take the change in price or change in quantity and then divide by the averages to get the numerator or denominator. Are we good? Is this crystal clear? Is this clear now? Okay. Well and good. Thank you. Happy to see that. With that, like I promised, we'll close it off today. Almost 12 it is. So we'll close it off for the day and not push it further. By tomorrow, the syllabus will come to an end. By tomorrow, the syllabus will come to an end. There is a bit more to cover. So that will cover. And then what we'll be doing on Friday, I'll tell you. Tomorrow, I'll tell you that. So remember, what all we covered today? We started with the target costing. We discussed how it is different from the other patterns. We learned about eliminating the cost gap, calculation of target cost gap, etc. Then we moved on. We learned about the different types of market and how the different types of market can affect the pricing. Then we moved on to now price elasticity or price sensitivity, how the change in price can impact the demand. We learned the different levels of elasticity, and then we also learned how it can affect the pricing. Those are the learnings for the day. That's it for the day. Thanks a lot for the cooperation. Extended. See people tomorrow. See people tomorrow. Thank you. Bye. Thank you. Bye bye. I hope it's clear to everybody. I hope there is nothing to add. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Ananda. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your time. See people tomorrow. Bye. Have a great day ahead. Enjoy the rest of the day. See people tomorrow. Bye.